Good morning. How you doing? Very matter of fact, isn't it? How are you doing? I mean, do I know you? Aye, aye, aye. There's a very unsettling feeling. Oh dear, he's going to talk about his feelings. There's a very unsettling feeling in me right now. I've had a cup of coffee. I've even had a little bite to eat. I've tried to wake myself up. Just, momentarily whilst I chat to you. Oh, not really enjoying my coffee either. It's weird. There we go. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why I woke up unsettled. I had a good night's sleep. And I can't seem to focus in on it. I mean, I've been looking through older posts that I've put out, mostly my music as Tunnel Mental, which I've been doing for years. I still will keep doing, and I'm doing a new track almost every day now. just getting in there and working on tracks and music and trying to get my feelings across and understanding the beauty of life. A lot of nature activity this morning as well. I woke up early and birds were going nuts outside. There's a bunch of crows and they were making a hell of a noise. And then the birds in their nests that the crows were near were going nuts too because they didn't want the crows getting their birds, and that whole protective cycle, which is good, but it was very noisy, a bit disruptive. But I was looking through old footage of music and things that I've been involved with most of my life, and then I started to think, well, nostalgia brings out mostly for me a sort of negative feeling. And I think that's because I've always tried to maintain being here right now, like being here right now in this moment. And it kind of hurts. It hurts. It does. There's a pain associated with even the glorious pieces of video footage, film footage, stuff that I've done, looking back on that, there's still a pain within me, a sort of longing. That's might be a good word. A sort of longing for why we couldn't correct ourselves individually at a time of things going crazy and things going upside down, but connecting back to self. And of course, I've always maintained that we were born with the thing that we will take away with us, unconditional love. So even though I attended an almost stranger's funeral service on Saturday, it's Monday today. On Saturday, I attended it's a relative, but a distant relative through marriage and through marriage. You know, it's not even really a relative, but somebody I knew, older person, had a very long and eventful life, and I know his daughter, I know his son now, and some of the people connected through marriage of all of that. And I didn't actually feel the sadness when it's a relative of your own, a blood relative, say, let's say, or you know, no, it doesn't matter. It's somebody you're connected to, and that connection is severed, and they go on, and you're stuck here. So it's your sadness. I didn't feel any of that kind of disconnected sadness from this person who I had met several times, but didn't know at all really. But at the same time, was there a dropper, you know, like a little tiny drop of, you know, we can be gone like that, just gone from this human experience. So maybe that was a trigger for me to be a little nostalgic and think about being 69 years old, think about not being in the best of health. And I'm not. Nobody is in the best of health. It doesn't matter if you're the most amazing bodybuilder, weightlifter, dietitian, health fanatic. I mean, you're not at your peak all the time. Nobody is at their peak all the time. We try and keep a level of health because health is important, both physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. But I'm 69. I have had many physical, mental, emotional, maybe spiritual upheavals in my life. Although my spiritual side has always maintained that there is a creator, something that's greater than humans, human experience. I've not got the arrogance of most humans. I do have the empowerment of knowing self, but I don't have that arrogance that comes with, well, I'm as powerful as the next man. It's like that's none of that's of interest to me. Being powerful in the same sense as the arrogant people who are following their ego. I've always maintained that my ego works for me, not I work for it. I do a lot of study. I do a lot of research. I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of philosophy. I do a lot of writing. I do a lot of interesting deep dives into the self, so I understand my own psyche, my own way of operating in this world. And I don't know that I'm any closer to knowing anyone else other than myself. I get close, got very close to a couple people and got close to trying to understand their operating way in this human experience. And I see them go right up to the edge sometimes, and I'm like, and I try and help them, but just quietly. And then I see them tip, and I'm like, oh God. So, do I ever? I mean, will I ever be able to know somebody as much as I know self? Probably not. I mean, almost definitely not. We have no idea of what's going on in other people's hearts and minds, even the ones we think we're the closest to. No, you're just making a judgment call in the moment, because in the next moment, they might be somebody else. You see? So you got to be careful out there. People that you think are your enemy or you have to be wary of are the ones that get close to you too. Everybody's close to everybody else, but they're not the same as everybody else. And once we can accept our differences and really work within the relationship of our differences, I mean, relationships are hard. They're not easy. Even the relationship to your own children, your own parents, your own family are really difficult. You really have to work on them. You can't just let them be. Oh, God will take care of that. No, God will not take care of your relationships during your human experience. Free will is what God gave us. An active choice at working at something that is difficult. Can be, not always is, but can be a supreme challenge. Is it worth it? Well, you'll never know unless you try it. That's the problem with everything in the world. You don't know another person. You think you do. But if you start to know yourself, you stand a chance. Gosh, I'm an arrogant bastard for somebody who doesn't recognize the ego is us. We are our egos, but our egos are part of us, not all of us. Human experience gives you the knowledge that it doesn't matter how much power you think you wield, the power you think you wield, it doesn't matter, because it really is about being honest. And if you're honest with yourself, relationships are hard and you have to work on them. You can't ignore that. Many people are just very flippant about it, and I don't like that. They're like, oh, it'll work out. It'll work out. Well, it doesn't. You have to work hard on yourself, understand what you really want from a relationship, and then work hard at making that relationship work. It takes work. But it's not. You know what? Getting to know somebody can be the greatest feeling in the world. But getting to know somebody who doesn't want to be known, there's the rub. George Allen in attendance. Hi, George. I hope you're still playing your bagpipes. I haven't seen a post from you recently. Keep posting, mate. I listen and I watch your posts. He plays the bagpipes out in nature, and I like that. It's almost like harmonizing with that which is nature, and nature is abundance. Our nature, the real earth is abundant. Happy day, Conrad. How you doing, mate? How are things in Poland? Good, I hope. And good for you, because you're a good man. And yeah, keep engineering. I was looking at a lot of things that have been blamed on artificial intelligence and technology, and I was looking into that kind of deeply recently. And everything's reliant upon what we do with it. Do not weaponize that which can do harm. But the trouble is, you have a technology that can do harm, but it can also do good. So there's always the flip side. So it's always the human that's in control of the artificial intelligence, the technology, the human, and, you know, good tools in bad hands. I noticed that yesterday. I was trying to fix a car with a friend of mine, just doing a little bit, and he's so skillful at it, and his hands are gnarly as fuck. I mean, his hands are like, oh my gosh, he's a mechanic, you know, he's got so many calluses and gnarly fingers and all that stuff. And I'm trying to do the same thing he's doing. And he's like, well, put your elbow into it. Go on, push it. I'm like, it's not my thing. It's good technology in bad hands. Let's go back to that subject. We have good technology. It is in bad hands. Everything seems to be weaponized. Food is weaponized. Money for sure is weaponized. What we build is weaponized. Everything is weaponized except nature. Nature has its own weapons. And nature will remind us every once in a while that we're not in charge. This is the Creator's world that we live in, live on, we're born to, and we die and we go into when we're dead. It's nature is what we are, but human nature is what we decide. That's what free will is. So we're going back round in a circle. So free will gives us the opportunity to work on things, and we've become a little work shy. So we've gone, oh, technology will take care of it. Technology will take care of it. And some people have been sat there going, ooh, maybe if we run technology, if we own it, we can run humanity. So we've got to be careful of being lazy. Work at your relationships. Everybody needs to do that. Even my relationship with my friends yesterday, who I bumped into in the park, they were doing things I didn't want to do, playing games that I didn't want to play. But I went down and I said hello and, you know, wished somebody a happy birthday, and didn't stay very long because I was working on the van and, you know, doing my thing. But I made the effort because that relationship with the people you interact with is hugely important. I was also talking to my friend mechanic, who's brilliant, about his relationships and, you know, how he maintains his relationships. There's one person in his life. He lives in the house where I used to live and rent a room. He rents an apartment that's part of the house. And the person he's in a relationship with is the owner of the house. And the owner of the house maintains his power structure within the house by controlling the people that live within his house. They're not there out of kindness, they're there to make money. So they have a price tag. And I tried to explain this to him yesterday, and he was like, yeah, but he said yesterday he was going to help me with it. I said, you know, sometimes people are going to give whilst they're taking stuff from your back pocket. It's going to, you know, you have to be very aware of who you're in a relationship with. And he understood, but at the same time, he was like, well, you left because, you know, he was being a dick to you. And I said, yeah, but it's not, I'm not trying not to judge him because that's his operating system, but I'm trying to understand him. And he didn't see the value in that. And I said, well, relationships have to be worked on. So like chicken. Okay, let's read some. Any questions, boys, out there? It's mostly boys. Is creativity important? Creativity, I believe, is the key to unlocking your potential. You have to get creative. It doesn't matter what you do, you know. I mean, if you're, let's say you're working in the kitchen cooking something, and you go, cool, I wonder what that would taste like if I added a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and all of a sudden you're being creative within a framework. So yes, and you can come up with something that's new and radical and great. All right, you might be able to fail a few times, but the point is You're your own judge. So don't ever stop being creative. The opposing force to creation is destruction, and it's always an opposing force. There's always the flip side. I'm using my hands to do gestures. I used to do that a lot more than I do now. I usually sit with my hands in my lap. Okay. I'd be interested in seeing how gorillas would respond to bagpipes. Yeah, that would be interesting. I mean, I know within nature, if I play music, if I play soft, gentle music, I've done this sitting outside in a compound where I live. I live in my RV normally, but I played music softly outside and sat in nature and just, watched the trees and and the birds and the dogs and it's like they seem to respond to it in a good way. And I so yes, I mean, I think business seeing how gorillas would respond to bagpipes. AI is like group of people. Some for sure will be better than person who ask. So yes, it is solving problems as well, for sure. Standard things that don't need creativity are great as well, like chicken to have eggs. Yes, but that's a creation in itself, isn't it? The old saying, which came first, chicken or the egg? Well, without the egg, we're nothing. I mean, the egg. What is the egg? The divine egg? That of creation? What is the purpose of our lives? Oh my gosh. Oh, well, I think the great writer, brilliant, funny, and mind expanding writer, come on, name, Douglas Adams. He came up with an answer 42. That's the meaning of life. Apparently. We all have a different view, don't we? I mean, that's the thing. What is the purpose of our lives? I consider that we have no purpose. We have a will, and we create our purpose. So, what is my purpose of life? Spread love, joy, happiness, be empathetic, be kind, be compassionate. Just spread the word of creativity, the word of we are growing into being better humans, building a better world. I don't know. I mean, what is the purpose? It's been the question of all the greatest philosophers in the world, and you can go back through like the ancient history of philosophy and shaman and even pre-written history, and there's always been like somebody who wants to interpret that sense of purpose for everybody. I don't think it's the same for all. I think it's different for everybody. We create our purpose as a human experience, and that's again back to the creative spark. Yes, to exist forever. I know we live forever. I mean, the extent of our human experience is dependent upon our well-being, but we don't really opt in or opt out. I mean, even those that sadly take their own lives or are being encouraged to take their own lives through other people's ways and means, which that's happening too. But these are not. The end of our human experience is not something to fear. It's definitely not something to fear. I don't know when my last breath will be. Many times I've thought this was it, but still here, still experience it. And when it comes, and I'm not really able to predict when that might be. I can try and maintain my health as best I can as a human, but during my human experience, but when the end comes, it's probably going to be out of my hands. No, it's definitely going to be out of my hands. I held my mother when she died. I've held several people when they passed in my arms, and I do think that there's a momentary lapse at the end of that last breath where they're gone, but they're not, because you're holding a carcass. It's not a real person anymore. So there's part of us, and it's not a physical part of us. It's just not. But there's a part of us that knows the eternal, and that's something that I've held on to my whole life. Is knowing that my eternal being will continue. There have been times when I've been close to death, like very close, like boom, something happened physically, and I'm like, woo, and it reminded me that I was doing dangerous things. Now, I'm not fearful of much at all. Actually, I'm not fearful. I just don't have fear. But I'm aware of danger. So you don't walk down the middle of the road. You don't promote unhealthy things in yourself. You're not in a rush to get to the end, but it's coming anyway. So I suppose what life is all about, which was one of the questions, is it's about death. It's about dying. Life is about dying. From the moment you're born, you are dying. But accepting that death is just an eternal, it's just a blip in the eternal, the eternal. Try and think of, and this is something that man struggles with, is humans, we all struggle with, is trying to picture the infinite. What is the infinite? What is infinity? What does infinity really mean? I mean, to most people, it's a type of it's a type of car. Oh, you've got an Infiniti. No, infinity. What is infinite? And it's like all knowing, all seeing, all being, all everything, everything forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. You can't picture the end. There is no end. It keeps going. That's eternal, and it's a concept. It's a conceptual thing that humans aren't really privy to understand. There are many that say that they understand, the eternal self, and they'll sell you ideas based on their knowledge of their eternal self. No, we can't. Those that clearly define God and God's rules and God's regulations and label it and follow this particular strict doctrine, they don't know. They want to let you know that they do know, because that reinforces their idea of what they know. But to actually know the infinite, to actually know the creator, to actually know what it means to be eternal, to be infinite being, no one's got a grasp of it. They can't. I have a friend who's got a mathematical mind, very brilliant mathematical mind. I can give him, any 10-figure number and then say divide it by another 12-figure number, and almost it's like it's a gift, you know. It's a gift. His mind works that way, but he can't come up with anything that even slightly or remotely gets close to explaining infinity or eternal or eternity. You know, everybody's trying to sell you an idea that they know. I mean, there's some great pontificators going around that are very popular at the moment, who say, "Oh, yeah, I know why this is this," and I'm like, maybe in your perception that's what you believe, but that's not necessarily like eternally true. Anyway, create a lot of maps and places, so need them in eternal outer world. You are not eternal. Delusion. Illusion, not delusion. Delusion is something you believe. Is there such a thing as infinity? I believe so. So is it easier to believe than it is to unbelieve? It's just words, aren't they? Early years. That's only to pacify yourself. Yeah, it is. It is. It's to keep myself peaceful. I agree. Is that wrong? George Allen, sex is very strange. Coffee. George, you're all over the place, and I like it. It's good. The more I'm thinking, not standard things, the better are dreams. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. If not, then that's sad, but nothing is nothing. So, well, if it happened, then nothing. Yes. Okay. Many, many years ago, I got into a debating situation with lots of friends who I've been connecting up with different places all around the world who have different ideas about what is life and what is love and what is eternal, what isn't eternal, you know, all that stuff. But we got into a debate about that very subject, about our dream lives. And that's the creative spark too, because when I talked to an Aboriginal man many years ago in Australia, very old, wise man who basically lived closer to nature than we certainly do in the West, and he said, "This is dream time. We are in dream time." So I tried to ask him in depth about what is dream time. And of course, we dream of a better world. If you're not dreaming of a better world, then how can you possibly create one? So you have to dream of a better world. And you have to work on your relationships with people within this world in order to understand if other humans share that dream of creating a better world. And I think they do. I think vast majority of them do. It's just the tools they have are in the wrong hands most of the time. So use all the tools you can in order to create a better world. Master your tools. Play your bagpipes in nature. That is your tool. Okay. Write your programs in the computerized world. It doesn't. All of these things are creative processes. Okay. Would gorillas be willing to have sex while hearing bagpipes? Fuck knows. Nobody knows. Give it a go. Don't know. That's a very good question, though, because it's one of those absurdist questions that are unanswerable. So, yeah, I mean, gosh, if that's where your mind goes, Georgie boy, give it a go. Modern wizards beliefs that knowledge and spirit in this world exists and we can just follow. I think we are all magical human beings. There are times in my life that I sit and I ponder, how did I get here? And that in and of itself has a magical quality, because I was not predestined to be here. I willed myself here. So, am I activating my choices? Yeah. But at the same time, following through, again, working on it, is kind of magical. I think the gorillas would attack the piper. I find the idea that life is positive, repulsive, and false. Oh, I don't think life is all positive. I think they are opposing positivity and negativity. It's like a magnet, right? So, yes, they're opposing forces. But the thing is, you have to become the magnet. So you have to have that duality, positive and negative forces, positive and negative ions. All of these things are left and right brain. You know, these are all connected in the bigger picture, but we end up trying to separate them. So to be separate from that which is impossible. So good luck with that. Positive and negative, positive and negative. Fluctuations. I believe in the flux of human experience. Why do people get upset over negative thoughts? They don't. They don't. They don't get upset about negative thoughts. They've always had them. They have them themselves. The thing is, what we bring into this world, and again, this is about relationships. It's like you try and have a positive effect on people who are not asking for your help. People are not asking for your help. You're not asking for my help, George. You never did. But we had a moment where our relationship was very close, and we did some dancing together and some music, and I listened and I helped. I co-created something with your bagpipes in it, and I was like, yeah, that's nice. And our relation, but we've seen very little of each other, and we know very little of each other. But we had a point at which the music, which is creative, brought us together, and we did something positive with it. Now, was that your negativity and my positivity coming together? Yeah. But that doesn't mean that we can have one without the other. That's human experience. We just have to choose wisely which path we follow. Negativity often leads to negative mind thought, negative projection, negative reality, whereas positive mind thought, positive projection leads to positive living. I just think that the more we pursue that which we love, the more likely we are to connect with loving things. Okay. Might be everything for some, but for others, nothing, I'd say. Yeah, God, what was that movie that came out? Everything, Everywhere, all at once. I mean, it's everything and nothing theory. It's either everything or nothing. And it's like, well, that's just polarities. You have to bring the poles together. Sorry, not talking about the Polish people there, Conrad, but it's it's the polarity. We have to bring the poles together in order to have one magnetic frequency of our being, which can accept that we're not in charge. We're not individually, we're not in charge. We never have been. We think we are. You know, when we picked up that first club and killed that first thing, we thought we were in charge. And we've not changed. Clubs have changed. I lost Spirit of Wind and Summer Nature as well. Yeah, but it's, I mean, you can walk out into nature, Conrad. So golden hour is not magical as well. There's no golden hour. I mean, people came to California in the physical sense to take advantage of the golden hour where the beautiful sunset produces this huge long day, and the lighting is fantastic for filming, so they could make movies. And then out of that movie industry grew this behemoth which decided, okay, we're going to show all of the dark stuff now and we're in control. And then they started to take over. Media is one of the key components that keeps us in our limited growth as humans. Media is, so be the media. This is why I do this. This is why I do music. This is why I do art. This is why I make films. It's because we have to be the media by which we can influence human beings, our fellow human beings, and make them happier and make them more aware of their existence and how their relationships are important and how we have to work on them. Okay. I intend to go to Ireland, but I haven't. And one of the reasons I haven't been to Ireland is because it was too easy to get there. It was very simple for me, where I lived in the West Country of England for the first 29, 30 years of my life. I could have easily just gone across the Irish Sea on a ferry. In fact, I even had a friend who worked on the ferries that could get me a free passage. It's just silly that I didn't, because it was so close. But again, I'm still guilty of that here. I mean, I've been living here for 30 odd years and I've never been to Mexico because it's too easy. I can just drive across the border. So sometimes I think I've chosen me. Sometimes I think I've chosen a more difficult path. I mean, I've been to China and some bizarre, like, islands in the South Pacific, and I've been lots of places in this world, but I never go on my neighbor's territory for some reason, and I don't know why. I'm going to rectify that. I'm going to go to Mexico for a little trip soon. Yeah, okay. I mean, you're kind of reminding me that I need to do that, Nigel. The too easy concept. Yeah, I mean, Conrad, I lost the Spirit of Wind and Summer Nature as well. Golden is not magical as well. Nigel, question mark. I just know Guinness, a nice name of that last High King of Ireland, Diarmaid MacCarbon. Yeah, Irish history. Incredibly interesting, because if you go back past Christian religion and British rule of Ireland, you get into the more hidden religious pagan beliefs, which I study quite a lot. There's a writer on Substack called Thomas Sheridan, and he's in touch, very much in touch with old Ireland, what old Ireland really stood for. He's a very magical human being himself because of his understanding and study of the place in which he lives. It would be like somebody today being incredibly interested in the original indigenous people of where I am now, which the indigenous people of where I am now as far as I can tell, have been virtually obliterated. I mean, there's places in some of the canyons where you can still find, flint tools and little pieces of reminders of tribes that lived in this Los Angeles basin. But most of it's been obliterated or stolen and repackaged as cowboys and Indians, which is such bullshit. As far as I'm concerned, most of history is his story. Whose? His story, his story. Most. Anyway, do you know a man named Terry Mallett? Terry Mallett. Tohunga women. Yes, I do know of the Tohunga women, but back to Terry Hallett. I think, or Mallett, I think, isn't he the last Plantagenet? That he claims that he was the offspring of the King of England before the Tudors stole the crown. I don't know. Terry Mallett. Rings a bell. King of Tara. Terry Mallett. Oh, he might be Irish. I don't know. Do you know of the Tohunga women? I've heard of the Tohunga women, yes. But do I know much about them? No, I don't. I don't know much about the Tohunga women. Apart from, recently, the historical homes of Sunderland Tohunga, I went to Bolton Hall and did a reading of poetry recently there. Well, I've got to keep an eye on the time. Yeah, interesting. I mean, I find this whole area of, Sunderland, Shadow Hills, Tohunga, the foothills, the whole foothill area of the Verdugos and Verdugo Mountains. Yes, there's a definite historic draw to this area. Some of it, I think, is actually very dark. If we want to go into that sort of like negative, positive balance, some of which I find very dark. But it's still to be explored. Doesn't mean we don't explore it. Tohunga means old woman. Okay. Indians that lived here. Okay, that's cool. Interesting. Yeah, I love pre-written history. I got to go now because I can be in this ramble for a long time, but I have lots of things to do. Physical things that I'm choosing to do today. One of them I'm choosing to do that I'm not looking forward to is going up to Sunderland and Tohunga, just around the corner, to go to the dentist. I don't want to go to the dentist, but I have to. Trying to take care of my health. Thanks. See you later. Yes, George. I'll see you around. I will. We live too close to be not around. Lots of love. That was a long ass pontification. And I'm glad you joined me because you question me and I love being questioned. Do you like being questioned? Do you like people asking you, well, why do you do that? I do it all for love. That's it. Love you. Bye.